You're listening to the Talkin Dads podcast, brought to you by You Suggested. Visit our social media sites, twitter.com/Talkin Dads, @mention us @Talkin Dads, facebook.com/Talkin Dads, instagram.com/Talkin Dads. If you'd like to support us, please visit our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/Talkin Dads.
That doesn't sound like a compliment, Lou.
What? Did they play to his...
Which there's so many, it's kind of hard to narrow it down, you know?
Where were the topics?
So, this week's episode is Father's Day on Talkin Dads. What is your favorite meal to cook for your kids and their favorite meal to eat? All right, so it could be two or it could be one. Also, what favorite activity do you do with your kids that you enjoy?
Okay.
And that we may have a special guest. But
we do not have the special guest. The special
no
guest.
Special guest.
Nope. My dad forgot his Skype password and then went golfing instead.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's so like a dad, isn't it? It's so like a dad.
Well,
I forgot that I was supposed to do something.
That's where I get it from.
My dad would call me up on my not birthday, a week before my birthday, call me in my brother's name and wish me happy birthday, and then forget my birthday or the day that my birthday was. But that was all in fun anyway, so it's not malicious at all. It's just
I got the pleasure of calling my dad and telling him we got a house today. So
nice.
That was nice.
Congrats, man.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, what a disaster. If Mike hasn't told you this story, it's a doozy.
I have not shared this story with them. I figured.
Well,
do you want me to record?
I mean, that's fine.
I hear a lot of echo.
You guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, John, I can hear you, but I also hear echo.
I was worried there for a second.
There he goes again, gone from the call.
Bye.
You should always have us on record. Just
always.
Recording.
Well, I've been recording since you said that plays to your strength, Earl.
Nice. So yeah, we've been planning on moving to Virginia, right? And you go through the normal background checks, and TransUnion decided about a month ago to start telling people that I was convicted of murder in 2008 in Richmond, Virginia, that I killed somebody for heroin.
Talkin Dad murder. Wow.
Yeah. And in spite of having, it's really hard to prove that you didn't do something. You have to collect a bunch of circumstantial evidence. People still didn't believe me because TransUnion is considered such an authority that they took their word over mine. So we got rejected for 4 or 5 houses.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it gets worse. So I went through the process of talking to the Virginia State Police and requesting a challenge through them because TransUnion was taking so long to process it. And I got fingerprinted and sent my fingerprints off to the Virginia State Police. Well, the Virginia State Police send me back a letter saying that my fingerprints match the criminal record, the case file.
Wow.
And I nearly had a stroke. Like at that moment, my world spun. And so long story short, we decided to get an attorney and start to fight it. And part of that process was going through and getting an official copy of my rap sheet from the Virginia State Police, right? So I had to go down and get fingerprinted again at my local police station here in Texas. They all know me now, by the way. They think this is hilarious. Yeah.
Cops with a sense of humor. That's
God. Well, I'll tell you what, the cop who helped me the last time had a really good perspective on it. He told me to be grateful that I'm dealing with this here as a free man. If I'd have gotten to Virginia, right, and gotten pulled over and was trying to fix this from behind jail, I'd be completely fucked.
That would have been a disaster.
Yeah. And so the fact that I was able to deal with this from a safe distance was a small blessing. And so I got fingerprinted, sent off the official copy of my rap sheet, and went through this whole ordeal to have it overnighted up there to Virginia. And they sent me the rap sheet back in 5 days. And as it turns out, my record's clean except for a small misdemeanor in like 2002. And they made a mistake in matching the fingerprints. So I had to take that, send all that off to TransUnion, and TransUnion just now, this week, sent out letters to every landlord that rejected me that, hey, I'm not the criminal they've been telling people I am. So it's been a slap nightmare.
So crazy.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's a good Father's Day gift for this week, but my God. And poor Earl's been stuck on this crazy project with me too, so it's like there's been that on top of the stuff that Earl just said.
On top of the normal stresses of a move.
I think
And I've been down here by myself with the kids, trying to keep everything together here.
And 3 dogs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You're taking a vacation in July, right?
I am not, sir. I don't know what we're doing. I may take a long weekend, but like the vacation is probably happening later in the year.
Well, tell you what we'll do. On the record, you'll be working. Off the record, you'll be not at your desk.
So that's been my fun for the last. So I got to call my dad and tell him that we finally got approved for a house. We met a landlord who was generous and was willing to work with us, and accept my word, because I got to fly up. I flew up to Virginia for a short period and met with him face to face, and that was enough to get us over the hump. Awesome. While the paperwork all processed. So, that's where we're at. Happy Father's Day to me.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day. I'm sorry, Earl. That is just awful. I probably would have had a nervous breakdown if I had to deal with what you just did. My goodness. Well, this is the Talkin Dads podcast. This is episode 5. I'm Mike.
I'm Lou.
I'm Earl.
And John here.
Ah, there he is.
What's up, guys?
You and your disappearing act.
Well, I gotta keep it going sometimes,
Yeah. Well, it is Father's Day, so what are you walking away to man the grill or something?
No, just grab a fresh beer.
Nice.
That's what I'm missing right now. A beer.
I highly recommend it.
Oh, there's so much vodka in my kitchen right now.
Wow. I could go for all of that. Maybe in a giant carafe. I don't know why.
A giant giraffe?
In a giant giraffe.
A carafe. That's one of those words you don't ever say in normal conversation ever. It's a carafe.
I think you know what it is? I was watching Frasier, and I'm pretty sure, I've like rewatching Frasier, I'm pretty sure he just said that on one of the episodes. That's why.
That's exactly the kind of word. Pretty much a restaurant menu and Frasier are the only two places you see the word carafe ever.
He'd have a carafe. He's kind of like a carafe.
Well, Niles, what do we have in the carafe?
No.
It sounds like a shitty stripper name. And now it comes to the stage, carafe.
Carafe. Oh, my God.
She's the full pour.
Ladies and gentlemen, up next on the stage for their second of 2, dropping that dress for you, carafe.
You just sound like you've done that way too many times.
No comment. Also, it's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to you guys.
Happy Father's
my talking
Day,
friend
gents.
Dads.
Happy Father's Day.
And also, Lou is going to be the guy to introduce the topics this week, so if you want to go ahead and kick that off, Lou?
I do. Thank you very much. And so what I I put up there a couple weeks ago was actually something that I put up again this week, but I added a little bit more to it. So you suggest it, and then I shared it on Facebook so that everybody who's following us can see it and kind of follow along. And maybe kind of a cool idea week after week if we put sort of topics up there, we kind of pick them, or we let the audience kind of pick them for us. But this week,
once we get an audience, we can let them.
Once we get an audience,
yep.
I'm thinking ahead. I figured since it's Father's Day and maybe you do something, or you recollect something that you do with your kids, maybe it's your favorite meal to cook. What do you like to cook for your kids? What do they like to eat? They may be the same thing. They don't necessarily have to be the same thing. And what's your favorite activity to do with your kids?
What's my version of those questions? Because I don't have a kid yet, so is it going to be?
Well, I think.
I think I'll like to make for my kid? Or?
I think it'd be like for you, it'd be more like what foods do you like to cook, and also I think that you'll kind of have a great opportunity to hear from us as to what we're saying, but it's also what things does your wife like to eat or something like that too, but it's also giving you an opportunity to build up a repertoire. Perhaps maybe you think they may all. I don't think they're going to all be the same. Hopefully, so.
Okay, let's kick this one off then. So Earl, do you want to go first?
Yeah, actually, my favorite thing to cook and my kids' favorite thing is exactly the opposite.
That's perfect.
I'm actually I got hooked on cooking in the early 2000s with the rise of Emeril Lagasse. And so I love to cook. And I love to smoke ribs. I love to cook brisket. Anything that's elaborate and can fall apart at any moment, like souffles. I love to try those things. My kids, however...
Schemes can fall apart. I like cooking those up. I'm sorry, Earl. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's a lighter.
But my kids want Spam and macaroni and cheese.
Nice. Oh,
Yep.
That is so right.
Spam
so much.
And macaroni and cheese.
I hate Spam. The only food I hate more than Spam is pickles
and bologna.
Oh, come on.
I love a good bologna. I like
pickles.
Spam is gross, and pickles are the worst food ever invented. Ever.
Have you ever had a musubi roll, Earl?
No. What's that?
Have you ever been to Hawaii or one of the islands out there in like the Pacific?
No, sir. I grew up in a trailer in Georgia, so.
I've recently discovered this. It's basically what you would think a sashimi roll would be, but it's with Spam instead, like a marinated Spam slice.
Oh yeah.
It's actually I didn't used to be a Spam fan, but after having that, I gotta say it was pretty damn tasty. So here's just on how you prepare.
They love their Spam right over there.
Yeah, it's everywhere there.
That's because huge. I believe the GIs brought it over there during like World War II, and so it's
could be
big in Hawaii. Yeah,
and it could be shipped before refrigeration advancements in shipping. It was easy to transport. So canned ham and Spam are massive over there. But no, John, like a good bologna, I love. Like especially Lebanon bologna. Oh fuck yeah.
Lebanon bologna. I don't think I've had Lebanon.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. It's the Amish up in Pennsylvania, Maryland. Make it all the time. It's a darker, sweeter bologna. It's really tasty. It's got a texture more like salami. So I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Wow. That was a massive education. I just got turned on to, what is it called again? Just
Lebanon
bologna.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
I'm excited to try that.
I'm hungry now.
So what about you guys?
John, you want to go next? Or Lou? Since you
Yeah, no,
started?
John goes. We'll circle back around and find out what his favorite activity is to do, but let's go through the food stuffs.
Foods. No surprise here. It's pretty similar on my end. I mean, I think my wife and I like to cook as well, but I think at this point, given his age, it's more about just producing something that we think won't kill him. But as he gets older, we start noticing some of his favorite things, and similarly, his favorite is definitely mac and cheese. I think, hands down. Like he'll scarf that down in like less than a minute. You can make a whole pot of that, and he'll just keep gnawing at it. But we also, it's not really. One of the things that we really enjoy doing too is taking him out to dinner. One of the things that we talked about when we were, still expecting, was that we wanted to really introduce him into like the social, not social scenes, but like getting him used to being in a restaurant, getting him used to public crowds and stuff. So one of our favorite things to do actually is to just get out and have dinner somewhere, and he can just snack on what we have, and it seems to work, and we like it too. So
nice.
But yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Lou?
I thought I was gonna hear from everybody the same exact thing, and for me it's pizza.
To
be a
eat
close
or to cook for your kids?
Both actually. So both my kids love pizza. I mean, like hands down. I mean, I think mac and cheese is a close second, right? So. And I'd be interested if I put both of them down, which one they would actually grab. They probably eat. I'm sure they eat both of them, right? So, but
mac and cheese pizza.
Mac and cheese pizza that's actually okay. Now we're going somewhere. Throw the barbecue sauce on there, and you got me, right? So that's there. But so I made pizza. Like I had my daughter for like the weekend where my wife wasn't around, and I just made pizza for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So when you make pizza, do you make your own dough, or do you order or just buy the fresh dough and doctor it up?
I've done both actually. I've made my own dough. So I mean that was the reason why it was the weekend of pizza, because I ended up making it and having a fair amount left over. So I just kept on making it. So in the morning we had our breakfast pizza with like bacon and egg and stuff on there, which turned out to be pretty cool. And I took pictures of everything, so I was like, this is pretty awesome.
Nice.
And then we just did it where we went out to pick up like a huge long piece of pizza bread, like a focaccia, and then just did that. And that was just, my wife made that. That was just ridiculous. But I love making it for them. And I think that's without a doubt, that's their favorite thing to eat. And it's a lot of fun. What's that?
Oh, I thought I muted my microphone. I just yelled out to my wife asking if we can order pizza.
Can we order pizza? I thought you just had like Tourette's. Pizza!
That's what happens. As soon as I get hungry, I have food Tourette's. I'm like, burger! Combine
spinning around. Pizza. So that was it, man. But we have to go back and start asking about.
Well, what about me?
What was the favorite activity? We didn't go back to that favorite activity.
What about me? Don't you guys want to hear what I like
I'm sorry.
to cook?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the question for you, Mike, is, what thing do you like to make the most, and what thing does your wife like to eat? That actually may translate down to, your kid, because if she likes to eat it, and you like to make it, there's a good chance that they'll like to eat it too.
Well, there's two things that I really like to make. One is chili. I make a crazy good chili, and it's never the same, ever. It's different every time. It all depends on what ingredients we have in the house. Even if I go out and buy stuff, I'll forget like 2 or 3 ingredients I used the last time, and then I'll come up with new ingredients. You can ask Caitlin. It always comes out good. It's the weirdest
It's like
thing.
the everything bagel of chili.
Basically.
What do we got? What spices
Just
are we
keep on
in
thinking about, hey, what are you doing with that shoe over there? Can I have that shoe?
Yeah, yep. You gotta add that extra flavor.
Gives
Gives it that earthy. And then
the Texan in the group is horrified by everything you just said about chili. By the
way, I don't put shoes in chili. Just
that's where we draw the line somewhere.
That's right.
So, the other thing I like to make, Oh, and by the way, every time I make anything, the way I learned how to cook was from my mother and my grandmother, and they would cook for an army. I'm one of 4 boys, but that even if I wasn't, I was the only child that would still cook the same way because that's how they cook. They just cook so much food. So the measurements on any of the recipes that I did get from my mother or my grandmother, it's all for like serving size of like 82. So
I think that carries forward to when you order food as well.
it does. It does. It totally does.
John comes in with the bat. Boom.
No, he's right.
Right to the back of the head.
I mean, well, Earl has seen it too, right?
I have seen.
We've all seen it. We've all seen it.
I know.
I think the funniest times I've ever had was watching you order food.
Oh, it's the worst. I can't make up my mind, and then, but then everybody around me usually benefits from it. So.
Oh my God! Endless amounts of laughter.
Especially when you're not fronting the bill, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Let's get all that.
This is a real benefit now. Hey.
And the other thing I like to make is meatballs. I make a mean meatball.
That's a spicy meatball.
Sometimes it can be spicy, but yeah.
So does your chili have? And Earl, you have to explain exactly what is Texas chili? What is chili and why? You know, well, I'm going to ask Mike first. Mike, what do you put in your chili that's kind of unique? Are there a couple of items that you actually always have to have in each batch, and then you kind of like you do a variation, or how's that?
I always obviously start with.
And who's got the dog barking in the background?
That's not me.
I'm working on it.
So,
He goes, I'm working.
I'm working on it.
So obviously it's tomato based, so I always start with some sort of tomato puree or diced tomatoes. A lot of it. There always needs to be some sort of meat in my chili. I don't do the vegetarian chili very well.
Okay.
So I always get spicy Italian ground sausage, and I always get ground beef, usually 2 pounds each, and that's my starting point.
Wow, that is awesome.
That's a lot. So it's a lot of. It's always different though after that point. Like, what else do I want in it, right?
Mike?
I add beans too, yeah.
You do? Okay, I thought I wasn't sure if you said that.
So I use black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans.
All of them, or you sort of like you use different ones for each one?
No, I'll use all 3 if I have them.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Yep. All right.
And
you ever go?
And then one way I cheat if it starts getting too spicy when I add too much chili powder or whatever, or actual chilies. And then if it gets too spicy, I always have a can of Bush's baked beans on the side just in case I overdo it. And if you mix that in, it usually balances it out okay.
So
you ever going for a chocolate chili?
Gross.
That just sounds like poop.
Chocolate chili.
I've had one once or twice in a couple different spots, and it actually isn't bad. I think one of them used like more of like I don't know if this is the right term for it, like that Mexican spicy chocolate, and they use like just enough to like get that's like I don't know, chocolatey type of spicy flavor to it. It actually was kind of good. I wouldn't call it a chili necessarily, but it was a pretty tasty meal.
Okay.
So Earl, what is chili?
Chili, well, there's 3 kinds of chili. There's chicken chili, which is a white chili. If we're talking just what you think of like the soup chili, right? Mm-hmm. There's the correct chili, which is chili without beans. And then there's chili you make for everyone who isn't from Texas, which is chili with beans. Mm-hmm. It's always cumin, chili powder, jalapenos, or cayenne, depending on how bad they can take it, onions, and bell pepper. A little bit of salt, and a little bit of cornstarch if you need to thicken it up. That's all it takes with the meat.
Okay.
So I usually add all those to mine. That's where I start with.
I start with the cumin and chili powder as the base. Add a little tomato, and then slowly build on top of that. A good chili will take a couple of hours to make and sit. And then even after you make it, if you let it cool and sit longer, it starts to taste better, like any other soup or stew. The longer you let it sit, the better it's going to taste. So that's what it is. White chili is very similar, only you use a lot more cornstarch, a little bit of diced tomato. You don't use tomato as the base for it. You use cornstarch and white pepper and a little bit of chili powder with some cumin and jalapenos. And it's not perfectly white. It's like a pinkish, but it's really tasty. You make it with navy beans and chicken.
So did you hear how Mike makes his chili? Just out of curiosity, did you hear? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
He never makes it the same way twice.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love the spicy Italian sausage you threw in there.
Yeah.
So,
no, the spice in our chili all comes from the peppers. It's all the jalapeno or the cayenne or the habanero, depending on what people can take.
Nice.
I think I'm having chili. I'm having chili for dinner tonight.
Caitlin, we
pizza chili
for dinner.
Caitlin, chili.
Chili pizza. Chili pizza.
Chili pizza.
Chili pizza.
Macaroni and cheese. Okay.
Oh, so, I am getting hungry now.
Those are the foods I like to cook. And Earl, I actually didn't know that much about chili. And now I'm glad I do. Because
Texans are pretty serious about the chili.
Chili and brisket, like they take it seriously down here.
Yeah.
And steak. It's like, unless you're a high-end steak restaurants don't last long in Texas. Like the really high-end ones will last, but like those mid-levels all go out of business because people would rather cook their own.
What, like Ruth's Chris, or is that?
No, that's high end.
That's right? Higher end. Yeah, that's higher end. Yeah.
But Outback.
But like all the, the only place you're gonna find Outback is in the city. Like in Houston, there's a couple of Outbacks, but down here, it would go out of business in a month. Nobody would eat there.
That's just like in Staten Island, you can't find an Olive Garden anywhere.
Yeah, right. I had Del Frisco's in Fort Worth before it came up to New York. And it kind of reminds me, Earl, when I was talking about the iceberg lettuce story, and I had to have something to hold my blue cheese and bacon, So I mean, that's the wedge. So one of my favorite places to get it from, steakhouses.
I am so fucking hungry right now. Can we talk about the activities? So
absolutely. So Earl started us off with the food, so maybe Earl can bring us around with the activities.
Sure. I'm really bad at activities. I'm the worst. By far the favorite thing is, my kids have gotten older though, is shared entertainment. As my kids have gotten older and developed their own taste in movies and music, and especially comedies, I really like the inside jokes we've developed. Like, there's this movie, Hot Tub Time Machine 2, which is one of the worst movies ever made, hands down. But it has the best throwaway lines in it. And there's this song that they sing to the youngest member of the group about him being a nerd and no one liking him. And one day, literally, I made a joke, and my youngest daughter, I didn't realize she'd ever seen the movie, started singing the nerd song to me. And I fell
and no one
over.
Likes you.
That's exactly the song. Nobody likes you. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard. And so we have these bonds, and I have this with all the kids, about different things that they like. That's our own kind of, like my daughter, again, we picked up Ed Lover, his "Come on, son." Like, she'll do that to me all the time, and we'll fist bump. She'll go, "Come on, son." And that's just our thing. And I love that more than anything else we do, more than vacations, more than like playing ball with the boys or whatever, all those other activities. Those little shared moments are my absolute favorite.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is the same thing. I guess it's a little different now, given it, where we are and him being almost 2. But like, it's those shared times, on a couple levels. I think one of the best, funnest things we do with our son is he loves playing with anything water sprinklers, like in the bath. Like, he just goes crazy for it, and like he loves being just like tossed around in it, like thrown around. And just hearing him laugh and enjoy it so much is, I think it's just fun for all of us, and we all have a great time, especially when family and friends come over. They all think it's cute, and everybody's having a good time, and we just really enjoy it. But I think on I guess a more developmental level, just playing with blocks with him. I love watching him try to figure stuff out, and when he does something, you can congratulate him, or if he gets frustrated, you try to calm him down and make sure he tries to do it slow, think about what he's doing. And it's just like that look that he gets in his face when he's thinking, and he celebrates his joys. And it's just like, I can't get enough of it. Yeah, I'll do that every day. Play box with him or whatever he wants to do. Trains or cars. All night long if I could.
It's a lot of good shared moments.
Just being with him. Yeah, I mean, it's like the feet. Like at this point, like you're gonna start. I feel like at his age, you're gonna start getting a lot of newer types of feedback from them, as they develop more, they start learning, you know what I mean? It's like they're going to be able to give you more honest feedback on what they like, what they don't, and that's just amazing. I think it's just so incredible. And actually, one of the funnest things lately is that he's starting to really mimic some things that you do. And like, I think it was a couple of days ago, Lauren mentioned something when we were eating dinner, and I did mind blown, like I was like, bah! And then he just started doing it for like 20 minutes, and he was like laughing his ass off, having a great time. And it's just like seeing him like kind of impersonate, either Lauren or myself. And it's just those moments. I would never trade those for anything. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, Mike, do you want to chime in now here too? What do you like doing with Caitlin? It's a lot of fun.
So, why? Because you want to end with you because you think you got the best one? Is that what?
No. I could go if you like. That's fine. We can end with you.
No. I'm just kidding. I'll go. So, I'll tell you what I hope to be able to do with my kid, and that's like, I want to play video games. I like video games.
That's a stretch.
Video games. I don't play video games. That's the worst thing ever. But I want someone to like sit down with me and beat Mario 2. Or Earl, you told me an awesome story where you sat down with your kids and you played Mega Man 2. Like I was so jealous of that when you guys played together, because nobody wants to play. Yeah, it was like a month ago.
We sat down and spent a whole Friday night blowing through Mega Man 2 in one evening, and that was a blast. They never played anything that hard, because modern video games aren't as hard as those old NES games.
I think
they couldn't believe how difficult it was.
That's awesome. But that's the thing, though. I feel like if I do introduce my kid to video games and they like it and they want to play with me, then they'll want to play the newer ones. And the problem with me and the newer ones is that you actually need time to play the newer ones. You have to invest a lot of time, and I just don't have the attention span to sit there longer than anything under like the 32-bit generation.
Right.
Cool.
So.
I can tell you what one of our favorite activities was at your in your place right now, Mike. Is I think it was probably around the same time where you are. We started taking some classes and starting to get more involved with other people that we're expecting.
Sure, make me.
One of our
look
favorite
better.
hobbies.
Thanks. I appreciate.
No.
One
of our
I'm
favorite.
Here like I want to play video games with my kids.
But
and John's like, what I did that was educational and fun.
No, this is
and
not
my wife, not just you.
Finish.
And your dreams.
One of our favorite things was just like shit talking other people, like just totally judging them. Not like shit talking to them, but like we would just like come home.
What'd you say about Lou?
Just being like, those people are gonna be terrible parents. It's like that guy, judging. He's probably not even around. Like she's probably still drinking beer. It's just, and we were just having a good time, just trash talking.
That's pretty fun.
Trash talking with the children. So That's interesting. So I have not done that yet.
No, not with the children.
Well, that was with Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One of our favorite activities while we were still expecting. Yeah. Like going out or seeing people that were also expecting and being like, what are they doing walking around this late? Or like, it's just.
Who the fuck do they think they are?
Yeah.
My wife is very hormonal, and it just happened to work out at the same time.
That's awesome.
Well,
I don't know. I felt it was like a really good way to relieve some stress as like a comic relief type thing. Just kind of add some humor to your day.
It is. So I don't know if it's the beer that I'm drinking or the stories that I'm just hearing is why I have a big stupid grin on my face at this point in time. But the best things, John, I'm along with you. In terms of like what we're doing with my kids right now is a lot of fun. But the mimicking is hysterical. When I'm up in front of my kid and I'm like, he's just done something wrong, and I'm like, okay, you better not do that again, And I got my finger and I'm waving in his face. He said, "You understand what I'm saying?" He goes, "Oh yeah," and he's 2.
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. It's like, all right, where did the Canadian come in to the house, and how did you get that into your vernacular? And I'm just blown away when they basically do something. But it's also like sitting at dinner table, and then he'll do something like he'll sing a song, and then we do a round of applause. We take our hands and we circle them around and we clap, and everybody's stupid at the table like a bunch of idiots laughing like fools. Which is just ridiculously
That's right. I remember
stupid.
you telling us that your daughter loves that the most.
Oh, the round of applause. It's like you can get them every friggin' time you do that. It's like, this is great. But we're on the same wavelength at this point in time. When they start getting older, it's going to be difficult because they're going to progress mentally, and I'm still where I am, right? So that's going to be harder.
Age 6.
So at age 6, we're going to start to diverge a lot more. It's like, what happened to all that fun we used to have?
Yeah.
So,
well, they realize that the dad jokes are just not that great, but then you come around, and then when you become an adult, the dad jokes are awesome again.
Well, maybe. I mean, they by that point in time, it's I heard that, Dad. That's what time is it now? Gotta go. It's like, where you going? You're 6.
Yes.
Pull my finger. Come back here. Pull my finger.
Not pulling your finger.
I got some business with a teddy bear.
Right. I gotta go over here. What's over there? It's wow. Gotta go. See you. Bye. So I think that shared moment, man, is just at this point in time. It's that point where you live for during the daytime, and you find that one point where you can kind of go back and say that was a lot of fun. So Earl's moved on. He's playing golf with his kids at this point in time. So we haven't gotten there yet. So.
Oh, I shit talk with my kids constantly. They love people watching and talking trash. But the problem is that one of the boys is so full of the machismo. Like, he's not content with just private shit talking. He wants to go over and say it to their face. Like, he's like, "Yo, why you wearing them shoes? They're ugly today."
Oh my goodness.
Damn.
He's the worst.
Damn.
So
if anybody ever came over and said that to me, "Why are you wearing them shoes? They ugly today." I would probably be like, you got me. I have no retort right now for you.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they are ugly, huh?
Yeah.
That's right. He's
But
super
only today.
short and he's super aggressive, but he would do it in such a way that
Does he sound like
he's
Joe
so
Pesci?
charming. He would. That's just it. He'd put on some kind of weird accent and you'd be howling, laughing. And you'd be, "You're all right, kid." He says things to people that would get my tail beat on a daily basis. And they love him for it. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
Oh man.
Well, he's got a career as a mid-level manager. So,
That is hilarious.
that's
Oh my goodness.
So that was it. That's all I actually had for my questions. I mean, so
I think those are 2 great topics.
I thought that they were fun, and it was a quick
definitely
Father's Day kind of like thing to kind of like throw out there and say for dads, and like cooking on the grill and having a good time and just doing being outside and during the summertime now we're gonna have a lot of chance to spend some time with our kids. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, what is it you get to look forward to? And then we can kind of like, reminisce about it, keep it in the back of our mind, bring it back here,
Right.
And these are mental notes that we should be taking at this point in time and bring it back and say, "Oh man, this happened to me, and that's the coolest thing in the world," and I really like that. So,
That's awesome.
I was thinking, and I'm glad this didn't actually happen. I was thinking everybody's going to say pizza. Come on, everybody's going to say pizza. You know.
I mean, that's a close second. I'll be honest. He'll scarf down pizza too.
Yeah.
I think he's just a cheese fan. I think he likes Parmesan just by itself. So
kids love cheese.
Just cheese. Yeah.
He likes Parmesan just by. Not many kids are like that. That's actually pretty.
I gave him a taste of it like a week ago, and like he just kept wanting more. And now every time we give it to him, he's like, give the Parmesan.
Parmigiano Reggiano. That's the
My
best.
kids all love it. We call it foot cheese in my house.
Yes.
They ask for foot cheese all the time.
Foot cheese.
Foot cheese.
Yep. It's the foot cheese.
When I was growing up, we used to call chickpeas butt beans because they look like little butts.
Wow.
So they do, right?
All right, so I have two quick questions. Why do you call it foot cheese, and why do you call it butt beans? But I want to hear why foot cheese.
Because it's the oldest boy, when he hit puberty, all of his shoes smelled like Parmesan cheese.
Oh, that would ruin it for me. That would ruin it for me.
Han, cancel the pizza order. We're going back to Chile.
100% true. And that's how the foot cheese started. Yep.
Growing up, maple syrup was ruined for me because my little brother, when he used to get sweaty when he was a little kid, used to smell like maple syrup and sweat. So it ruined it for me.
So next week it's
traumatizing.
It's human smells that smell like food.
Yeah.
So,
boy.
Stay tuned. That's a big topic.
So why smell like salamis?
Salamis. Why butt cheese?
Butt beans, not butt cheese. If any cheese smelled like butt, I don't think it would sell well.
Well, I don't know. Foot cheese doesn't really make me feel like I want to go grab it. Hey, give me some of that foot cheese over here. It smells great. Yeah, I don't know. It's cute, you know.
God. Is that a foot cheese Romano mix?
Give me the foot cheese. Give me the chili. Put them together. And throw in the friggin' shoe.
Sprinkle it with some butt beans in a shoe. Yeah, for the earthy flavors.
Throw them butt beans down there. I didn't tie the skimp.
So chickpeas. We call them butt beans because they look like little butts, don't they?
Yeah, I guess they do.
They do.
You know? I never thought.
I can see that. Well, that wasn't big of a leap in my opinion. I think that's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah. I'm just glad that we don't call them butt beans because they smell like butt. And I would not have eaten those.
That would be it.
Yeah, that's the butt cheese.
I got one last topic. And this is something I think we're going to be talking about for every week. We're going to be coming back to this one, but for different reasons. And it's what did you do as kids, right? What did we have as kids that our kids don't have now that you're a little sad about? Right? Right, Lou? We talked about this just a little bit.
Yeah, but I think it just hit it. I think it's coming from a slightly different angle, though, Mike. And we did talk about it, but it was like slightly different. And I think I like this version of it much better, you know. So it just hit me over the head like a brick, you know. It's just like, wow, you know, that's okay.
So why don't I'll give you some examples of what I was thinking of, right? Video rental stores, right? No social media, so bullying ended at a certain point.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other topic, man. Go into,
It's one of those things. And Toys R Us, right?
Oh, I was just there yesterday.
So Lou, you seem pretty excited. You want to go?
Yeah, I think you hit them all in the head. But I think, Mike, when I was growing up, if you wanted to, you know, right now you get online, you don't even have to walk out of your house. You know, it's like to actually start sort of like connecting with a friend over the line, which kind of blows you away. It's like when I grew up, if you wanted to basically find out if your friend was home, you went there, you at least gave him a call, right? So you went there, and so you know it's kind of right now everybody knows where each other is. I mean, you almost have like GPS on it, so you know where everybody's going to basically be, which is kind of weird. So I guess it's just the fact that like you know who your solid group of friends are. You'd have like this intimate group of like 3 or 4 or 5 people that you kind of hang out with. And I think now it's like it's much bigger. I mean, people call themselves friends when they're in California or in New Jersey, you know, because you have this connection with them, which is interesting. I mean, it's a whole other ballgame.
Well, I mean, our generation has friends that are all over the country, though, right? I mean, I have best friends over in LA, up in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
but
because they've grown up and they moved away, but not typically while you were a child. You know, it's like you typically
you're
insulated by that physical area. I mean, that's no longer. That's not the case anymore. I mean, that's at least for me, it was just about those boundaries, the physical boundaries that were basically set not completely by where I could ride my bicycle. That was it. That was really it. You know.
Right.
So that's a difference for me.
And calling your friends, right? Actually picking up a landline, dialing their number, calling their house, having their parents answer, and you'd be like, okay, Johnny can't play right now.
The funniest time I ever had was when I called up my friend Eric, and he turned around and told his mom to shut up. And I was just waiting for it. I'm like, oh no, he shouldn't have said that. I am going to hear in about 2 seconds. Eric can't come to the phone right now. And it was about 4 seconds when I heard, that Eric is kind of busy and he can't come to the phone right now. I totally predicted. I was 9 at the time, or 10, and totally predicted that. I was just like, this is not going to end well for him.
Every mother's phone call persona was different, right? My mother would be like screaming at us if we did something wrong. She'd be like, "What the hell are you kids doing?" And then you hear like ring, 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 ring. And then she's like, "What the fuck?" She throws something and she slams her foot down and she picks up the phone. She's like, "Hello."
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Oh, not like that. That's not. Hi, hi. Thanks for calling the Gardner residence. This is Bambi Gardner.
I got the wrong number.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry. So, pizza, chili.
It's like Auntie Ella. So, Earl, what do you got as an example?
Well, just first of all, a thought that I had finishing the last part. My kids don't make phone calls at all, except to parents. Like when they're talking to each other, it's all through text or social media. They don't make phone calls at all.
So
not a one. Which is
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, like they don't. Like we see their phone bills. You know, when the phone bill comes in, literally the only calls they have are to us. Everything else they get done via text or email or social media. Yeah.
Or they're on WhatsApp or something like that. They're making a call on.
Or on You Suggested all day long.
Well, You Suggested.
Well, can you make phone calls through You Suggested?
Not yet, and I don't think ever. But that's a good idea.
But you can suggest it.
You can.
But even
you can suggest it. That's for sure.
But even then, they don't use like the video chat on Google Hangouts or Facebook Messenger. They do Snapchat. And do the little blurbs on Snapchat if they want to do video, or Instagram. But they don't have like constant one-on-one verbal communication like that. It's all asynchronous. It's all send a message out there, wait for a reply. All of it.
Do you feel like they're missing out though?
I used to, but my kids got more friends than I ever had, and they're all tight. Like she knows more about my friends than I ever did. So I can't say that for sure. I think that there's a certain bit of rose-colored nostalgia that we put on these things that, you know, it sucked when you went and knocked on your friend's door. You rode your bike 4 blocks over and they couldn't come out and it was hot as balls, and then you couldn't do anything but go back home. So now they just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what you doing? You want to meet somewhere?" Yeah, and they go meet somewhere, and they know somebody's going to be there. So I think that we I don't want to say fetishize, but we do a little bit. We fetishize the past. Now, the thing that and this goes into mine, that I wish they had was limited entertainment options. The fact that cartoons were only in the afternoon and only on Saturday mornings gave us a little bit of appreciation for the media that they don't have. The fact that entertainment is on demand now anytime they want is really fucking cool, but it kind of devalues it. But
I agree.
by the same token, like the other thing I see about that though is the people that are our age who rant and rave about the things that we love, and people ruining, the child. You ruin Star Wars, you ruin Thundercats, you ruin and so I wonder if that's part of my own rose-colored glasses. Maybe it is better there that way, that they don't put that extra value on it that we have. To them, it's just a funny show they laugh at, and they move on about their day and do other things.
Well, I bet they'll do the same thing, though, in about 10. Even if, I think they'll still put that same value on there. That's just like that was my version of it. I like that version the best,
Right.
But when you go back and watch your version compared to the new version probably makes more sense for today's day and age, right? It's just, I think they'll be doing the same thing. I don't think that part will go away. But
you can binge watch. So the thing about it is, like, Mike, you and I talked about this. Is like, I wait like early. I mean, dude, I still wait for Saturday night to watch a show. I mean, even now, I can get online and watch every show and binge watch the entire thing. And I'm like, and Mike said, "Oh, I already went through everything already." He's just like, "Well, I don't want to do that because I have that little bit of like anticipation that I want to actually do it." Now you can kind of binge watch everything, and then you're over with it, and it's like, I don't know, man. There's something about that anticipation.
HBO has kind of given that back to us in this house with Game of Thrones and Westworld. Like every Sunday night is Westworld night.
Nice.
So, that release, even though we could wait for the season to be over and then binge it, it's actually been nice letting it unfold and giving some space between the episodes to think about. I enjoy that.
Here's my nerd. So Dragon Ball Super was the newest Dragon Ball series that came out. Was the first time I ever actually had to wait for episode to episode in a while for something that I liked. And I was like,
I'll be right back, guys. Sorry.
No problem. Dragon Ball Super did it. That's what it was. But I enjoyed
El
waiting.
Kabong.
What was that noise? Someone just have an idea.
El Kabong.
But I mean, I wish when I was a kid, if I had this entertainment on demand option, I probably would have loved it. I would have loved to have that as a kid, but I also would probably be like Jabba the Hutt. You would need to put me on a rolly cart, and I'd be like, oh. Like, what's that creature in that back room watching Netflix?
And I think this is where the parenting stuff basically comes in. Is you've got to basically be able to shut it off at some point in time, and like a spigot, like in a faucet. Like, how do we shut that off? Because we're not constantly getting like bombarded by information that's coming.
That's the perfect metaphor, analogy, whatever. The spigot, the faucet, the fire hose, like that's perfect for how we consume media now. But
it's fun in one sense if you can find something and then you can kind of switch on and off and you can kind of dabble in different things, and that's really kind of fun. That's the fun in it. If you can kind of find out where you like stuff. And that's neat. It's like, all right, I can really learn all about that, and it doesn't take long to assimilate information at that point in time. So I think that part about it is awesome. Yeah. I can go out and find anything I want to learn about it like that.
Right.
That is
I wish, seriously, from younger age, I wish we had like the access to information like we do now. When I was a kid, oh my god, there would have been so many less broken VCRs and whatever that I took apart, tried to fix on my own.
And I think our kids will. I think they're going to be smarter. In a lot of ways, they're going to be a lot smarter.
Yeah.
And I think that's just that information that's readily available. I think it was Mike or Earl. Are you back?
I am back. Yes.
Do you remember the movie? And I have to ask you if this was the right one. Do you remember the movie Scanners? And I wonder if this.
Michael Ironside, where the guy's head blew up in like the first 5 minutes.
Well, dude, I'm trying to think if it was that one or something else, where these guys would actually go in and they would like record people's thoughts, and then they could basically play it back and learn everything that they learned. And I don't necessarily know if it was Scanners or what movie that was, but they would like somebody's playing a piano, and they can basically watch it, and they can come back and they can learn how to play piano. You know, they could just like it's almost like the Matrix, where they were basically plugging themselves in and learning it in real time.
I know kung fu.
Yeah, but that's really where we're going to, man. It's like the point where you're basically going to be able to plug yourself into something and learn something so fast.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, though, there's a weird trade-off that they're experiencing right now. For example, your kids, all of your kids, will not, unless you make a special effort to make sure it happens, they won't know how to write cursive. That's a skill that's been lost.
I've heard that too, Earl.
Yeah, that's
kind of going away.
I forgot about that.
Yep. They won't learn cursive. As a matter of fact, there's a theory that in 20 years, most kids won't know how to handwrite at all.
Well,
that they won't need it
anymore. In general, Earl, and I mean, talk about like my mom was like super into like how well she can write, and she's very, very, and then she looks at my handwriting, which looks like somebody took me and shook me as I'm writing. Unless I really kind of like focus. I'm okay, but not really like my mom. So I think that over time has been kind of lost. So I can definitely see that happening.
Oh, sure. When's the last time you saw the finger callus on someone? Remember the finger callus everybody used to have?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Look at your hand. You
From doing homework.
Yeah, no one has it anymore.
How funny it was when I was in high school, and I'm sitting there at my typing class. Okay. Right, and my teacher is like, "You got to learn how to type." I'm like, "What the hell do I need how to learn how to type?"
Small brown fox.
It's like, because you're going to be doing it every day of your life for the rest of your life,
right?
And that's exactly what ends up happening. It's like emails and everything else. It's like that's 9 times out of 10 what I'm doing. So,
well, it's a weird thing that's happening now that Tab noticed in the job market. People who are graduating high school right now lack the general, unless they're IT specific kids who want to go into coding or something like that, they lack general PC skills because they don't use PCs. They use tablets or Chromebooks. Yeah. Everything is cloud based and everything is app based, right?
No more keyboards.
So these people would get these 20-year-olds would get hired at this bank, and banks still, like, there's a lot of banks that still run Windows XP. So you have to teach them how to actually use Microsoft Windows because they'd never used it before.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should throw DOS shell in front of them. See.
I was about to say, for those of you who don't know, each one of us is a severe geek of sorts. Yeah. So we can totally go down this road and just keep on skipping down it at this point in time too. So, and have episode after episode about geekdom and this stuff. But it's
you could just talk about launching apps back in your day versus now, right? If it wasn't a cartridge-based console or computer,
right?
You had to type out a bunch of commands, right?
Well, it just like to Earl's point. I mean, like, look at just the fact that like a desktop app. What?
Right.
It's
what
like,
is that?
Microsoft is going to the cloud. What?
Have you ever seen those lists of like kids born in this year will never know these things? Like I was just looking at, let's see. Kids born in, they're saying that kids born this year may never know what a driver's license is.
You mean like to actually go to the DMV?
Like to get one. It might not be necessary. By the time Mike's kid gets 16, every car is likely to be self-driving. Yeah.
See, that blows me away. But that's the whole and guys, I mean, like we can like have episode again after the episode about this, but that's that whole kind of like shift in our economy away from purchasing to sharing. And that's the whole idea about like, and that can affect like you see cars that are selling for ridiculous amounts of money at this point in time on auction. What's going to happen to all these beautiful cars that are around that nobody wants? They're going to be sitting in museums and nobody's going to care about them at that point.
They're going to be art pieces.
They're
just going to be art pieces.
Unless they outlaw driving.
They will eventually.
Yeah.
They will eventually. Or your insurance will be so high you won't be able to afford it.
Right.
I'll do it. I'll be
the other thing,
dragon.
the other one that struck me is really crazy, and it was based on an article because you ever use Google Translate?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's awful.
Google Translate's offline mode just got an update that improved it leaps and bounds.
Really?
And so like it just framing it within our context, Mike's baby may never know a language barrier. Like that baby will have access as an adult to instantaneous translators. So it may not matter if the person they're talking to is speaking Chinese or French or Russian.
I've seen that.
Have you guys
Sound
ever
like
read
what-
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Sure,
Like
Babelfish.
The Babelfish, yeah.
Babelfish.
Right.
Yeah.
Babelfish is, but I saw something like that the other day, where somebody was in Japan, spoke a few words into it, or actually not even a few words, like a couple sentences.
Yep. Through
Then
their phone, right?
No, it might have been through a phone or something kind of like just device, but maybe, let's just say it was through the phone. And then they immediately interpreted it right then and there, and interpreted it perfectly so the person could understand, and they can have a conversation at that point in time, which was like utterly amazing, So that to me is interesting. But the other point about the importance of learning another language isn't just only just getting the barriers down between the communication, but it's also the fact that the culture difference, and then the speech, the way that they talk is differently, and so there's a lot of effects of actually having, Mike, to your original point about what's different between now and then, is a lot of effects that's going to end up happening that's going to change the way that we're actually acting as humans at that point in time, and actually as we're growing as people.
We're all basically going to be cyborgs, right? So.
Well, I mean, there's that thought. Like, it's crazy how much is changing. Like, I was just literally yesterday reading an article about, and I'm not going to harp on the depressing part of this, but I have to get through that to get to the main point, that up there where you guys live, that the suicide rate for cabbies is going through the roof.
Wow.
Because they can't afford the loans they took out on those medallions. Those $1 million medallions in the city are worth nothing now. They're only worth like $100,000 now because of Uber and Lyft.
Yep.
So like our kids are never going to know what taxis were. Like it'll all be private services, which is crazy to me. Like stuff like that it was always ubiquitous in our lives, just aren't going to exist anymore.
Everything on demand, private services.
Yeah, but I was Mike, when I was talking to you the other day about this, and I was just saying something as trivial as like what we're used to getting information wise, and we're used to, at this point in time, we've gotten used to like things not working, right? And are happy when things kind of like come online. It's not as bad as it used to be, for sure. But my kid, 3 years old, watching something online on my wife's phone, and we're driving down the street, and she gets interrupted with bad connectivity, just loses it at that point. Yeah, I know she's 3 years old, but that same sort of mindset, I think it's going to be translated. Some of the expectations can be translated as they get older. Basically,
gratification piece of it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have. That's the difference in the mindset right now between all the people who are millennials and the people who are older, Mike. I mean, like the whole crux of the conversation that goes around that is like expectation. Like we're willing to deal with a lot of the stuff that they're not willing to deal with.
I mean, to get video games to work back in the day, you just have to blow in the cartridge. Well,
heat up.
Turns out that
Exactly.
was
You have
the
to
best
sit
way.
there and heat it up at that point.
Used to
The
take
connectors
forever.
weren't clean. You
Yeah.
have to
Or
rub
even-
the connectors.
Yeah. What about dial-up internet?
Yeah, they'll never know that beautiful sound.
Yeah,
The screech. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what a handshake is? Of course I know what a handshake is.
No, they won't. They'll be like, "Why would you touch someone? That's gross."
Right.
I was talking in the communication sense of
No, I know.
That
That was the joke.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That one was over your head.
I ain't touching it. All right, sorry.
Luke, nothing goes over Lou's head. He's quick and catches it.
I'll only pick some tall.
He's a good outfielder. Oh, man. Did you hear about that restaurant on the moon? Great food, no atmosphere. Dad joke.
Wow.
I
was going to say, you got
joke.
I was waiting about that. Yeah.
Something else that that kids nowadays won't have that we had growing up, but were a nuisance, were physical suggestion boxes. Like if you're at a restaurant, actually writing something out on a piece of paper or a slip that was printed on the back of 5 other versions or older versions of whatever, and hoping that they'll read your actual handwritten suggestion. But
you actually did that?
Well,
I actually had one.
Nerd.
You killed my segue into the. Well, so
literally everybody just shoved bubble gum into him here.
Yeah,
it was just your gum dump when you went into the
only because you would probably A, not ever be heard, or B, never knew where, if I put something down there, what's going to end up happening. I think it was Sheldon from.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's why that sucked. That's why it was not efficient back then. But now there's a digital version of that, Lou. Take it away.
Yeah, I love it, Mike. There's a digital version of it, and it's what I think we're referring to right now. It's not only just a box, but an engine, right? So it's an engine that can drive change across brands and across markets, and I think as these kids are growing up and they have expectations, but there's also a lot of sharing, a lot of availability there for them too. Like we were talking about, this instantaneous ability to kind of communicate.
Right. Well, the instant gratification, though, what is it, Lou? What are you talking about?
Well, it's also from both sides too. It's like, they're going to be growing up and expectation is going to be basically furnished by both sides. I know that I have to return back this message as quickly as I kind of get it in there as well, but that communication opportunity allows me to understand what's happening out in the world, and then
where can they do it? Where can they do it?
I think for the better part of.
Will you just say you suggested, Lou? Say you
suggested.com.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
I'm trying to.
How many beers have you had? Happy Father's Day. All right.
I just had one.
We were trying to do this in a fun little way, but we're talking about yousuggested.com.
Cut it down.
Yeah, yousuggested.com, Mike. Thank you very much.
Sorry. No, talk more about it, Luke. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm going to go have another beer, and I'm going to go relax for a little bit. So, but I'll say one quick thing about it. Go to yousuggested.com/Talkin Dads. If you like what you hear, or if you don't like what you hear, tell us what you want to actually hear. Tell us what you think about some of the topics that are going on, and we'd love to hear from you and love to have some suggestions about where we can improve. What's in it for you that you'd like to hear about from us, or maybe we bring in somebody else, or we have some additional sponsors or something like that. That'd be kind of fun. So love to hear from you.
You know what I want to do on yousuggested.com/Talkin Dads for a little weekly segment.
What's that?
I would like everybody to get on that site, right, and put your top 5 dad jokes. I want to do a weekly top 5 dad jokes.
Well, I think I love it, but I think if we did one dad joke and then we could do it for 5 weeks, that'd be better. Because I don't necessarily, we have a 250 character limit. I don't necessarily know if you're going to get in 5 jokes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But you can basically, suggest again and again and again, of course. But I'd be happy with 1 joke.
Yeah. So, and we will compile the top 5. That's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah. Also, Mike, but you can share that on
and have
Facebook.
People vote.
And you can vote on it on You Suggest It, and then we can kind of see based on, who's basically going out there sharing it and liking it, what's the best one? What got people, to think and laugh. So
cool. Awesome. Anybody want to talk about anything else on this glorious Father's Day?
I was surprised nobody mentioned like perms or like mixtapes.
Or Jerry curls.
Jerry curls.
Perms, mixtapes, or Jerry curls.
That's the name of my new band. Well, my memoirs. It's my
Tapes and
memoirs.
Jerry Curls.
Yeah,
Soul Glow.
I like it.
Make it soul glow.
That was beautiful. Do it again. All right.
That boy's good.
That was good.
And that was thank you. I'd like to say, thank you to my band, Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.
Now we've all turned into Eddie Murphy.
I wish I could do that laugh. I sounded more like Pee Wee Herman there. I don't know, Daddy. I know you are, but what am I? That I just annoyed the fuck out of myself by saying that, and I'm sorry, guys, if that annoyed you too. Anyway, this has been another episode of the Talkin Dads podcast. Thanks again for joining us. Make sure you visit our social media sites, facebook.com/Talkin Dads, instagram.com/Talkin Dads. Mention us on Twitter, at the Talkin Dads. What other social media sites do we have, Lou?
YouSuggested.com/Talkin Dads. And we have our other website where, was it, Mike, you have to fill in a blank here, where we're raising a little bit of funding for us.
There you are. If you would like to support the Talkin Dads podcast, give us a little bit of some extra dough. Help us keep the lights on. Help us pay for our hosting services here. We'd appreciate a little support. Visit us on patreon.com/Talkin Dads. And how do you spell that? That's TALKIN. Sexual Chocolate Dads.
That's
TALKINDADS. Talkin Dads.
Before we wrap up, Mike, I think real quickly, I think we would love to have everybody in the same room at some point in time, and we should do like a fundraiser, perhaps for like a charity. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I agree.
And I think that'd be kind of cool. Either we do it here, or we kind of hightail it down into, the DC area. Maybe
once Earl gets moved.
Earl gets in the area, we can kind of do it. Around that area. That'd be kind of fun.
That's a great idea, Lou.
And Talkin Dads live.
Talkin Dads live. So
give us money, TDL. And we can do Talkin Dads live.
TDL for charity. TDLC.
TDL
live for charity.
And my pocket. No, for charity. For charity. I swear. All right. Thanks again for tuning in to the Talkin Dads podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Lou.
And John.
Gerald. John and Earl. One more time.
John.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Talkin Dads podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Lou.
And John.
And Earl.
As they say in Japan, sayonara. Just a public disclaimer, so real quick.
I have to go, guys.
Go ahead.
I have to
I'm a little.
Ciao, everybody.
Well, Lou,
take it easy, Lou.
Lou, before you go, what was it? What was the phrase that we used? We're not medical professionals. Please consult your physician or doctor.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's like, we are not medical professionals. We are occasionally would tell you what we've done in the past to for our children, but consult your physician certainly before you listen to us. So
don't listen to assholes on the radio, people.
Yeah, and by the
ciao,
radio,
amici.
your app.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye, Lou.
Ciao.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Okay. Earl and Gianni, anything else?
Yep. Negatory.
Happy Father's
Good,
Day, guys.
Happy Father's Day.
Bye.
Thanks, Father. Take care.